real critical issue, because unless we as a community see the benefit of taking care of ourselves and really thinking about prevention in a different kind of way, this is preventing some really critical problems, such that when an individual goes to the hospital, they're going to get care. But think about the amount of money that we're spending on people in emergency rooms and long-term care that could have been prevented if they had an opportunity to get some primary care. And so again, it's not that people are out there and they're not wanting to take care of themselves, because so often that's the case, it's the mindset that I don't want to contribute to someone who doesn't want to take care of themselves. These are people who are working. They're working to make it better for themselves and for their families, just don't have the wherewithal now because they're not making enough money to make all the ends meet. And so here as a community, we have an opportunity to contribute not only to one individual's success, but it will contribute to the overall success of our community.
Well, I guess what we're doing is asking Genesee County residents to once again open up their hearts and help people in great need, which we have a habit of doing in this community. It would be great if we were able to establish this program, which is the first step towards universal health care for everybody. And we were able to do it here in Genesee County. Hopefully the millage will pass and you'll support it. I know you'll do everything you can because you want to help these people. Let's go on here. Remember the so-called rave party that was held on the Flint North Side in March of 2005 and was raided by local police? Hundreds of young people were attending the party. It's a kind of a rave party, has a reputation for loud music, dancing, drinking, and in some cases drug use. About 120 people were arrested for allegedly possession of drugs or frequenting a drug house. Now, 23 of the approximately 120 were arrested for possession of drugs, and they pleaded guilty. The 94 others were charged with frequenting a drug house, and they pleaded not guilty. No drugs were found on any of the 94 arrested for frequenting, nor did the police have any evidence that the 94 had any knowledge that there were drugs being used in the building. Now, the police only claim to criminality was the 94 were in a building where drugs were being used. There's no evidence that they knew it or saw it or whatever. The apparent position of the city attorney, ultimately, who prosecuted this case, was the defendant had to prove their innocence, not the prosecution prove their guilt, which is contrary to our criminal system. I said on this program, right after the raid, that the city attorney should not issue warrants for any of the 94 without proof that the prosecution could prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the 94 had knowledge of drug use and possession in the building. They couldn't do it. But the warrants were still issued for these 94. We said on this program also that these cases were flagrantly without merit, and the arrest so unconstitutional that any fair-minded judge would dismiss the cases when they came before him or her. And we acknowledge that there will be great political pressure on the judge that hears this case to deny the 94 defendants' motion to dismiss. The police were involved, the public was involved, and the kids were a little wild, and and somebody says, they need a kick in the pants. But you kick them in the pants when they've committed a crime and you can prove they committed a crime. I said then that the law was clear, that the arrest and the trials, if it went that far, were unconstitutional exercises of police power. Fortunately, ACLU took up the cause for these 94. Now, since the cases were misdemeanors, the jurisdiction for the disposition of these cases was in the Flint District Court. Now, the first opportunity for the court to decide on the issue of correction of police and city attorney's action fell to District Judge Ramona Robbins. Now, after some delay, unfortunately, she earned an opinion that the arrests were legal and the 94 defendants should have to go to trial or plead guilty. I don't know how she came to that conclusion. Again, we said the action of the police was a violation of the defendant's constitutional rights. Said the judge was wrong. In this case, due process of law, you can't impute guilt to a defendant. That's what I say happened here. The ACLU took an appeal to Genesee County Circuit Court seeking a reversal of